Hey everybody, my name is Rob Thomas. I'm a certified BG5 consultant, and admittedly, I'm a BG5 enthusiast. You might be asking yourself, if you've never seen this before, what is BG5? And it's real simple. It's what it is it's the business and career application of the human design system. So today, I have the distinct and first time and lucky privilege of interviewing a friend, business colleague, and mentor of mine, Karen Sherwood. So Karen is the Director of Educational Development and Training for the BG5 Institute. She also has a tremendous amount of experience in the field as a BG5 consultant. And so with that, I want to say hi, Karen, and thank you so much for doing this interview.
Hey, Rob, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, you
Inviting
bet.
me, yes.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So, one of the cool things that I think everybody gets to experience when they enter our community is that everybody comes to this community in different ways with a different set of circumstances. So, that's actually the first thing that I want to discover with you. Is I'd like to hear more about, first of all, your professional background. I'd like to give everybody the opportunity to get to know you in that way, because like I said, we all bring different professional experience to this. And I want to hear more about what you've done in the past, prior to being the director of the Institute.
Yeah, great question, Rob. It's very interesting. There's all kinds of courses that we teach and that we offer, and one of the courses that we're looking at right now is the cycles course, and it really is taking a look at different life cycles. So it really plays in beautifully with what your question is, because it's something that I've also been exploring. And one of the things that's so fascinating is that every single thing that I've done in the past has really led me to this. And so my first job out of college was actually at ABC Television in Los Angeles. I was part of the on-air promotion department, and it really gave me a background in promotion. I studied speech communication and broadcasting. I also have a background also in theater as well. So it really gave me an opportunity to, one, work in a large organization. So one of the things we take a look at is OC16, which is working in large organizations. And it's one of the examples that I often use in OC16 as well, how a large company, how a large organization works. And I happen to be in the on-air promotion department. One of my strengths is PR. Promotion. So it worked in really perfectly, and it really helped me understand how a larger organization works. It also gave me tools in which I'm using today in organizing things that we do for the BG5 Business Institute. So ABC Television. Then I also traveled and I worked for Up With People, and also I want to introduce you to my cat Moxie. She often shows up.
Hi, Moxie.
In our shows as well. In Up With People, if you're not familiar with Up With People, it's an international educational organization, and we travel around the world for a year and put on a 2-hour musical show. And it really is about building bridges of peace and understanding among people of all nations. And so one of the things that I love about the BG5 Business Institute, and how I think my past in working with Up With People really played into it, is that it's an international organization. So we had people from 25 different countries in our cast, and we traveled around the world, and we stayed with host families. So we really got to know the people and the places, and understanding different cultures. And one of the things I love about what I do now at the BG5 Business Institute is that we literally have people from all over the world, right? We have people from Australia, from China, from Japan, from all over Europe, from South Africa, from Malaysia from Russia, everywhere.
Wow.
So it's almost like being able to reconnect to that experience and Up With People, and being able to really connect and work with people from all over the world. So I worked with Up With People and traveled Up With People for several years. One of the things that I also really enjoy is personal development. and really learning about myself.
Mhm.
For most of my life, I tried to fix myself because I thought that there was something wrong.
Mhm.
And so one of the other things that I did is I worked for Landmark Education, which is really about personal development, personal growth. And I worked there and worked with them for several years as well. And then the large part, probably the largest part of my career history was in computer application training. And so I trained mm, mostly Microsoft Office products. I trained other things such as communication and that type of thing as well. But what I typically trained was computer application. I even trained Microsoft PowerPoint at Microsoft. So,
Wow.
and
Wow.
I think I've trained in every state in the United States except for Montana. So, so I've done a lot of traveling. I've done both public seminars as well as mm, what we called what do we call them? Where we went into the company and worked directly with the company as well. And one of the things about computer application training that I also think really applies to what I do now at the BG5 Business Institute is once you understand how a computer program operates, how it works, right?
Mhm.
All of a sudden you're freed up to do things that you never thought you could do. And that's one of the 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 thing that I had the most fun in training is seeing people's aha moments, right? For example, in teaching Microsoft Excel, where people have been, doing things manually and it's really hard and they hate Excel and they don't like working with it. All of a sudden they learn these tips and tricks and ways of being able to use Excel that makes their work so much easier and so much faster. Well, it's almost the same with human design and BG5, right? We have our own design, and we don't know how to use it correctly, right? So we have this amazing program that can do so many different things, and we limit ourselves and we make ourselves wrong and we beat ourselves up that, oh, we can't do it. And all you need to do is learn how the software operates. And once you know how the software operates, it really frees you up. So that was, so I did quite a bit of work in computer application training. And from there, I created an online women's small biz network. And that's actually how I ended up getting connected with BG5. Someone gave a talk and I was like, wow. And the moment that I saw my design, it's like I knew it. Like I knew everything, even though I didn't know anything. There was just something that was very familiar with it. And I have been literally studying it nonstop ever since. So
Wow.
that's a long answer to your question.
No, and thank you for the way that you articulated that, because while I knew bits and pieces just from our association, at the very beginning, you talked about the work that we're doing in BG5 and especially the cycles part. And you said, it's interesting that everything that you've done throughout your life has prepared you for this moment. And because of how you articulated that, it absolutely shows this. I mean, especially the large group aspect, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
had you not had that experience, that might have impaired or lessened your ability to understand the work that we do in OC16 and much less teach it to another person. And so there's that, but it gives you that practical knowledge that you can take the OC16 data and put it together with and see, aha, that's exactly why that happened, or this is, and so on. And so, but the realization that you had with the computer applications, that was like very profound, mic drop profound. So yeah, so wow, what a great background. And yes, everything that you've mentioned has absolutely teed you up for this moment, to be the director, to be the first, to take this BG5 out into the world as a consultant, and then duplicate yourself through others, through the numerous instructors that you've already trained and more coming. So wow. So we learned a little bit about what brought you to BG5. You came across this through the women's group that you formed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can you share more and maybe answer the curiosities for those that are watching as to why BG5? Because you've been exposed to quite a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had your self-help path. You talked about that. You were trying to fix yourself. I can claim the same. I think that's one of the things you and I have in common is I was a self-help junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to fill that gap, fill that hole, fix this, do that, etc. So you've seen a lot that's out there. When you compare and contrast it to BG5, why BG5?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And like you said, Rob, just like you, I've been sort of a, a self-help junkie, if you will. Most of my life, I thought that there was something wrong with me and I was trying to fix it. So I've done pretty much every program, every assessment, everything that's out there trying to figure out, okay, how can I fix myself? What's wrong? And this was the first system ever that was like, there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong. It's really about owning who you are and recognizing what you are and what you are not. And so with BG5, part of my design as well is there's a trait called 54, right? And the 54 is about drive, it's about ambition, it's about business. So part of my life work really is around drive, ambition, and business. And when I found the human design system, I fell in love with it. And then when I saw BG5 on the website, it was almost like I could not do it. One of the things we talk about is following your decision-making strategy. And my decision-making strategy is a wait to respond, then wait for clarity. And so I saw it on the website. I'm like, I have to do that. But I waited. And I come back to the website and like, yes, I do need to do this. And it was basically right before the early bird special, literally kind of the last few minutes before the early bird special ended is when I signed up. And I love it for many different reasons. One, with BG5, it's also the practical application of the human design system. So it's how can you utilize human design as BG5 to help you in your career, in your business, how to make money. And we utilize a slightly different language to make it more accessible to a bigger collective audience. So it really is taking a look at the practical aspects of it. Not only that, it's also about how do you connect with others. So it is about how do you work together or how do you work solo, right? And understanding how you work as an individual, but also, and I think even more importantly, how do you work in partnership, or how do you work in a small group, or how do you work in a larger group? So as you interact with individuals throughout your life and throughout your career, right? Most of the ways that we make money, there's some exceptions, but most of the ways that we make money, we have to connect with people.
Yeah.
We have to interact with people. And so knowing how to connect and interact with people is one of the things that I think is huge in BG5 as well. So knowing how you're designed to interact with others, and it also gives you more compassion for others as well, because you can really get to know them as unique individuals. And even though you may disagree, or you may have places where there's disconnect, or there may be places where there's friction, you can start to recognize that it's not personal, right? They're not personally attacking you. There's something mechanical. And every single time that I've ever gotten into any argument or disagreement, if I take a look at our designs, right, side by side, I can see exactly where it comes from. And again, it gives me the opportunity to not take things personally anymore. I can just see it's all in the mechanics. And in seeing that, you can look beyond it. And it gives you a lot of compassion for others and a lot of compassion for yourself. I mean, we're in a huge transition time right now, and it really is a time of learning to love yourself so that we can also then love humanity as well.
Wow, I really like how you put that. The compassion component and the not taking it personally component in relation to the transition that you just discussed. I mean, we look out into the world today and it's pretty hot right now. It's you'd have to be living under a rock to not be affected as to, a lot of the things that are affecting us right now. So I really like how you put that. And it's very clear why BG5. So thank you for how you worded that as well.
Thank you.
So now what I'd like to do, Karen, is I'd like to give everybody the opportunity to learn more about your experience as one of the very first BG5 consultants to take this out into the world. That had to have been a very special opportunity. And actually that opportunity still exists. It's not like, I mean, yes, we're on, I think, just about every continent except for Antarctica, right?
Probably, yes.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But you were one of the first to take it out and help others and help businesses with this. So I'm curious, as you look at this, all of the client successes that you've had, is there one that comes to mind or one that stands out, or maybe there's a general theme that you would like to share with others in terms of what your experience was as a consultant with regards to client successes?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to clarify, I'm not the first. However, I am, because there's been several people who have been trained and have been consultants before I became a consultant. But I started with the BG5 Business Institute, really at the conception of the Institute itself, before it was a part of the Human Design School, so
Okay.
IHDS. And so I was really at the beginning of starting the BG5 Business Institute as sort of its separate entity, if you will, to really focus and be able to offer it, and also in the transition of the language as well. So just to clarify, I'm not actually the first.
Cool. Okay, thank you for that.
But one of the things, yeah, but it's a really great question. And it's really hard to sort of pinpoint what would be the biggest success. But this is when I know I've done my job. I know I've done my job when people can relax into just being them. I can literally feel it when I'm working with people. Oftentimes what your biggest challenges, what you're making wrong about yourself, what you don't like about yourself, on the other side of it is part of your biggest gift. And oftentimes the biggest thing that I hear a client say to me is like, I've always known that, but I've never heard anyone say it that way. It's like, oh, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I can just be me. Right. And that's your job. Ultimately, your job is to be you. One of the things about this system that's different than any other system on the planet is the level that it gets to how unique you are, right? Oftentimes, most of the other systems put you in some kind of box, right? You're this or that, the other, right? At the highest level, we do have that with the different career types. But that's only at the surface level. As you get deeper, you really start to see the uniqueness of who you are. This is the science of differentiation. This is the science of knowing who you are as an individual, and there's no one on the planet that is like you. And if you are here on the planet right now, you are here for a reason, right? There is no one that's better or worse than anyone else. We're all a part, and this is something that I often talk about in my classes as well. If you take a look at all of humanity as this huge puzzle, each of us is a piece in that puzzle. And if you've ever completed a puzzle and one piece is missing, right? It just doesn't, it feels off, like something's not right. It's not complete, right? So each of us has a piece in the puzzle. Each of us is important. Each of us is here with our own unique purpose. And it's important for us to, in a sense, understand that for ourselves, to love ourselves, to be able to relax into who we are, because through that, it's almost sort of like this inside out, through really loving, trusting, and accepting yourself, that's the only way that we can, as I was mentioning before, that's the only way that we can truly love, trust, and accept humanity as well. But it starts with ourselves, right? So there's a huge opportunity for us to make a huge difference in the world as well. And how we can make the biggest impact in the world is simply being ourselves.
Beautifully put, Karen. Wow. Okay. So my last curiosity, the one thing that I would love for the group and anyone that's listening right now and watching the video to hear more about is, you've got a tremendous amount of experience with this information, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been studying this and helping others with this for 10 years plus, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So you have a lot of hands-on practical experience with this. And here we sit in the middle, not in the middle, but we're going through a major, major transition.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the middle of something that is affecting everybody on the planet with COVID. And then, depending on what country you're in, you probably have your own unique set of circumstances. Here in the United States, we've got all kinds of stuff going. So as we sit in the middle of this, Karen, as you look out into the future, reflecting on the experience that you've had, what would you say that the future looks like for the current BG5 consultant, or those that are thinking about becoming a BG5 consultant?
Yeah, really great question, Rob, because I think there is going to be more and more demand as we are moving forward. All of this old systems, we're in the last 7-year cycle before a major shift. That major shift is in 2027, but that shift is happening now. We can feel it, we can see it, we can recognize it in everything that's going on in the world. And we're moving from what's been known as the era of planning. That's where all our big institutions have come from, whether it be education or government or healthcare, etc. And we're moving towards the age of the individual. Now, we've been also in this period of time since 1961, around there, that we've been sort of in this era of illusion and delusion. And so many people have, in a sense, been asleep to everything that's been going on. And what's happening right now is a huge wake-up call. And it's a wake-up call to really a wake-up call for humanity, because we can't continue to go down the path we've been on, but it's also an individual wake-up call. And Ra used to say the biggest disease on the planet is self-loathing or self-hatred or people not liking themselves. Like I said, I spent most of my life trying to fix myself because I thought that there was something wrong. And when we are all trying to overcompensate, when we're making decisions from our mind, we end up, suffering. We end up not being happy. We end up, in all kinds of situations, right? If you truly loved yourself, right? Nothing else would, you wouldn't be able to have the. And if you take a look at if every person on the planet, if every person on the planet truly loved themselves, and here's part of the business piece, if everybody on the planet truly loved themselves and they were doing what they loved and loving what they do, think of what's possible. And so I think the future for becoming a BG5 consultant is huge. And the reason being is because of this major shift, people are lost. People are looking for answers. They're trying to figure out who they are, how they fit in, where they've been lost in this illusion and delusion, either with the world or with themselves, right? We're lost in the illusion and delusion of who we are as well. And when we really understand what our uniqueness is, what our piece of the puzzle is, what our role is, what our life work is, what our life purpose is, it brings so much more fulfillment. And I think jobs are changing, businesses are changing, organizations are changing. And with all of this change, we need direction. We need help. We need support in moving forward. And this is what a BG5 consultant can provide. This is what we train you to be able to do is, one, take a look at the individual, taking a look at, what is their life work? What is their life purpose? How can they fulfill that? How do they make decisions? How can they trust themselves? How can they love themselves? We do that first, and then we take you through, okay, in a small organization, right, how is the best way to set things up so that people can work together in relative harmony and work together in a way that really supports each other and recognizes your strengths, recognizes your weakness, recognizes what you're designed to do and what you're not designed to do. I mean, imagine going to work where they really appreciate who you are and the work that you do is exactly aligned with what your design is. And it's fun, you love it, it's it's really, you really enjoy it. And when your work is so enjoyable, it doesn't feel like work. What I do does not feel like work. I feel so blessed and so honored and so humbled to be able to do what I do because I love what I do. I love connecting with students. I love teaching this information. I love designing new programs. You know, I love everything about it. And when you can do what you love and love what you do, right, the whole world changes.
Totally.
And that's what I think the opportunity is for consultants is to help in that shift and to help eliminate that confusion as we, you know, move forward and all the craziness is happening. I mean, this is why I feel like I've been able to stay very, very grounded during, you know, everything that's been happening this year.
Yeah.
You know, because I can see what's happening. And it's actually, in a sense, for our own good. I think we're being supported in moving towards something that's much more powerful, moving out of the delusion. But sometimes it's difficult when you've been lost in the delusion to really see what the truth is behind it. And the truth is, you know, each and every person is important to the whole tapestry of humanity.
Yep. Yep. So true, Karen. You know, you touched on several really, really poignant and large points. And I feel exactly the same for the future of the BG5 consultant or for the BG5 consultant and those that haven't even become a consultant yet. You know, Gallup, they're a very famous organization. They're famous for the information that they have, and they've been doing this for a long time. And they recently came out with one of their newest books. It's based on their assessment system. But essentially what they found in their data was that only 15% of the world is engaged at work. And by their definition, what that means is they like what they do. You know, that they're committed to it, that they're involved. That means that the other 85%, either by their definition, by what it said in the book, was they either hate their job, hate their boss, hate the company, and possibly all three. So when you put it in that statistical perspective and then you round it off with what you were talking about specifically, it's a very, very large opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And when you share those statistics, it just makes me very sad. I mean, to think that that many people are really just going to work for a paycheck and they really don't like what they do. I mean, what a waste of life, what a waste of energy. And I think, again, that's what we can do as BG5 consultants is really align people to who they are and their purpose, their life work. So their work is what they love.
Yes. It can be done and you're living proof of it.
Yeah, thank you.
So Karen, as we bring this conversation to a close, do you have any final encouragements or thoughts for those that are watching?
I think the biggest thing is something that Ra always talked about. He was the founder of Human Design and BG5, is love yourself. Realize that you are important and there's nothing wrong with you. All you have to do is learn the program, right? Just like I was talking about earlier, you know, with training computers, right? And training the software. All you need to do is understand your personal software. And when you know how to use your software correctly, boom, 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 things line up, things work. And so I encourage you to really take a look at where you're struggling, whether it be your life, your career, your relationships, right? One of the things in taking a look at this is that when you truly love yourself and when you know how to operate correctly, you know, according to the software that you have, everything, you know, all of those answers become available. And it's much, much easier than you think. You know, well, I should say it's simple, but it's not always easy, is is really how it works. But I think the main thing that I want to say is love yourself. And when you love yourself and you're doing what you love and loving what you do, everything else lines up.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you. So Karen, I want to thank you for giving me and everybody else who's watching your time today. I do know how incredibly busy you are. This has been a fun conversation, and we've learned quite a bit about you in the process. So thank you for being willing to open up and share your experience and share what brought you to BG5 and why BG5 and not other stuff, and you know, what it's like to be a BG5 consultant and do the work and the product of the work and the future. And so it's very, very bright, and I'm very, very excited. So again, I just want to thank you. And I want to thank everyone for watching. You know, obviously there's going to be more videos coming, but you know, this has been a fantastic conversation. And for those of you that would like more information about BG5 and the different programs and options and resources that are available, the best place to go is the Institute's webpage, which is at bg5businessinstitute.com.
Thank you so much, Rob.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.